Hello and welcome to Go For It. I am your host, Paul Gannon. For the next hour, we're going to be talking sports and having fun doing it. I want all your ideas, all your opinions, and all your beliefs. And as always, you will get a heavy dose of my opinion. So great show lined up. You know, we got a lot to talk about. We're going to talk about Ryan Fitzpatrick and his situation. As you know, Ryan Fitzpatrick got benched by the Miami Dolphins, and the Dolphins are 3-3 at this point, and the Dolphins have an opportunity in the AFC East, but we'll talk about that. Talk about Carson Wentz and the Eagles. The Eagles escaped with a victory against the New York Giants on Thursday, so we'll get to that. Also, got to talk about Lopez Lomachenko. We got to talk about that fight. We got to talk about what transpired and what happened. So we got a lot to get to. So let's get right down to it. So let's start with Ryan Fitzpatrick. It was announced by the Miami Dolphins that Ryan Fitzpatrick is headed to the bench, and they're going to start their rookie, Tua out of Alabama. So they're going to start the young rookie Tua. And at this point, the Dolphins believe, well, it's time to go to Tua. And we know that we're 3-3. We know that we have an opportunity in the AFC East. But at the end of the day, it's time to go to Tua. It's time to go to the rookie. And here's how I look at the situation. I look at it this way, right? The Miami Dolphins are 3-3. They're 3-3 with an opportunity in the AFC East. The Buffalo Bills are struggling right now. The New England Patriots are struggling right now. So the Miami Dolphins have an opportunity at this point. They have an opportunity to make their move in the AFC East. It's not like this is the AFC East of old where it's Brady and the Patriots and it's, you really don't have a shot. This division is wide open. Outside the Jets, the Dolphins had a shot with Fitzpatrick in as quarterback. The Bills have a shot, obviously. They're on top of the division. And, those teams have a shot, and the New England Patriots have a shot. But at this point, the Miami Dolphins said, you know what? It's time to focus on the future. It's time to focus on developing our quarterback and getting our quarterback right and ready for the future. We believe he is our franchise quarterback. We believe he is the guy that's going to lead us and direct us for years to come. So the Miami Dolphins made that decision. And I don't like it. I don't like it at all. And I'll tell you why. Look at the NFL today right now. You have the situation with COVID-19. So there's a lot of things that are just unpredictable. And the reality of a COVID-19, you could run into a situation where, you had the situation. Cam Newton missed a game because of COVID-19. And the New England Patriots struggled against the Kansas City Chiefs in a game that was pretty winnable. Defensively, they played well against the Chiefs that night. They just didn't get anything from their quarterbacks. Whether it was Jarrett Stidham or whether it was Brian Hoyer, they got nothing from their quarterbacks that night. So this whole thing is wide open. And also look at it from this standpoint. Hypothetically speaking, the Miami Dolphins with Fitzpatrick, Fitzmagic, ultimately win the division, ultimately make the playoffs. Let's just say hypothetically you get a home playoff game. Let's just say hypothetically you go against a team and they're losing their quarterback because of COVID. Let's say you win that game. Let's say you didn't go to the next round. Hypothetically, you play the Chiefs. Let's just say hypothetically speaking, let's just say Patrick Mahomes gets COVID. God forbid. I don't want anybody to get COVID, but God forbid. Well, then that game becomes winnable. The point I'm trying to make is with this season and with the uncertainty of this season, I think the reality is anything is possible. So if you make the playoffs, anything is possible. Now, here's what I will say in terms of why the Dolphins have made the right decision. Fitzmagic usually turns to Fitztragic at some point in time. So Fitzy and all the magic usually turns to Fitztragic. He's done it all before, and he's done it throughout his whole career, whether it's in Buffalo, whether it's with the Jets, whether it's in Miami. Fitzmagic turns to Fitztragic. So, I know Fitz is hot, and Fitz has these moments. With the Buccaneers, they got off to a great start. When Jameis Winston got suspended, Fitzmagic was working his magic in Tampa Bay and got off to a great start. But ultimately, Fitzmagic turned Fitz-tragic. Fitzmagic turned to Fitz-tragic, and the rest is history. Yes, Albert Gonzalez, you do have a point. We're not there at practice. We're not there. So we don't know exactly what Coach Flores and the Miami Dolphins are seeing. We don't know. Yes, legit point. But at the same time, Ryan Fitzpatrick's playing some good football, and the Dolphins are 3-3. Now, ultimately, Tua may be the better quarterback. He's probably going to be the better quarterback. They expect him to be the better quarterback, and they drafted him because of that. But at this point in time, more than likely, and I'm not saying definitively, more than likely, the Miami Dolphins are better off with Ryan Fitzpatrick at their quarterback at this point in time. More than likely. Now, there is the possibility, and we've seen rookies. I mean, Justin Herbert's playing some good football with the Chargers. So we've seen rookies come off the bench. I mean, we've seen rookies come out and play well from the start. So there is the possibility that Tua could come out and Tua could play well. We could see that. There is that possibility. But the Buffalo Bills right now are playing good football. And one of the reasons they're playing good football is because of Ryan Fitzpatrick. That's the reason. They're playing good football because of Ryan Fitzpatrick. And I just think at this point in time, he's rolling. Roll with the magic. Roll with the magic until it becomes Fitz-tragic. And then once it becomes Fitz-tragic, then, if you decide to jump off and go to Tua, I get it. And they went into San Francisco and beat the 49ers. I mean, that's a decent win. I know the 49ers are struggling, but the 49ers did go to the Super Bowl last season. But I know they're struggling right now, but they did beat the Rams last week. I know they beat the Jaguars, not a very good football team, and they also beat the Jets. Well, everybody's beating the Jets, so there's nothing to be said about that, and everybody's beating the Jaguars at this point as well. So, yes, the games that he won, you could argue the teams that he beat weren't that great, but the 49ers, I think, ultimately are going to get better, and the Jets and the Jaguars are going to be the Jets and the Jaguars at this point. But I just think, let the man go. Ride the magic. Ride the wave as long as you can ride the wave until you decide, you know what? He's bad. He's not playing well. He's throwing interceptions. He's turning to Fitz-tragic. Let that moment happen. Now, and again, I'm not in their locker room. I don't cover the team on an everyday basis. I'm not there. But I would imagine some veterans are a little upset by the move because, hey, once a rookie quarterback comes in, there's going to be some struggles. That's just the nature of the beast. That just comes with the territory. Rookies struggle. Rookies make mistakes. Rookies throw interceptions. Rookies do rookie things. So expect rookie Tua to do some rookie-type things. Period, point blank. But I just look at it as I think the Dolphins made a mistake here. I think they should have rode Ryan Fitzpatrick. I do. But it could be similar to, I believe, Eli's rookie season. Eli Manning's rookie season. Remember, Giants were playing decent football, playing okay. Kurt Warner playing decent football. But ultimately, the Giants made the decision to go to Eli Manning. And, at the end of the day, was it the right decision? Well, ultimately, Eli developed. Ultimately, Eli won 2 Super Bowls for the New York Giants. And when it's all said and done, Eli is going to end up in Canton. So, yes, you could say it worked. Now, this situation, if Tua comes out and Tua becomes a quarterback that they expect him to be and that they want him to be, well, guess what? This was a great move. But if Tua falls flat on his face, well, you can look at it as a bad move. But I'm hoping, all the things that Tua's been through with the hip and all those things, you hope. And it's hard not to root for Tua. You want Tua to play well. You want Tua to do well. But I think, and you feel bad for Ryan Fitzpatrick. I mean, the dude was, talking about how heartbroken he was. And, you just felt for the guy because he was playing good football, and he's near the end. Ryan Fitzpatrick is near the end of things, and his career it's about to be over. I mean, Ryan Fitzpatrick doesn't have much longer in this league. And so when you have an opportunity, when you're playing well, 37 years old, Fitzpatrick, and you're playing well, and you have an opportunity and you got your team in position to possibly win a division, well, guess what? You want to keep going. It's only natural. It's not like he lost his job because he was ineffective. He lost his job because the Dolphins were looking to the future, and Dolphins were preparing for the future. And obviously, again, the Dolphins might believe, hey, Tua is the guy. He's ready. We saw enough reps. He's getting the reps in practice. We've seen enough. It's time to put this man on the field. It's time to see what he's got. It's time for us to focus on the future. And look, let's be real. I mean, at the end of the day, are the Miami Dolphins going to win a Super Bowl this year? Absolutely not. Even Fitzpatrick, it doesn't matter who their quarterback is. They're not winning a Super Bowl. Could they win the AFC East with Ryan Fitzpatrick? Well, if he plays like Fitzmagic, yeah, they could. They could. Buffalo's struggling right now. Lost 2 straight. Buffalo's struggling. Patriots struggling right now. So, again, that division is wide open. Wide open. And waiting for somebody to run right through it and take control of that division. Why not the Miami Dolphins? Why not with Fitzmagic? Why not? Why not? So, Tua, right now the Dolphins are on a bye. So, Tua, you'll see Tua next week. Not this week, but the following week. So Tua will get his opportunity. And, hey, you root for this kid. You don't want anything bad to happen to Tua because he seems like a good kid. But the Dolphins are on a bye. But Tua, his first game will be at home week 8 against the Los Angeles Rams. So it's not going to be easy. Aaron Donald's going to be in his face a few times. It won't be easy. So his next 3, Los Angeles at home, the Rams, on a road to Arizona, and then they have the Chargers at home. So, again, games that are, I think they lose to the Rams, but, I don't think that's a game where they can't win. Arizona's a winnable situation, even though Arizona's playing some good football, and the Chargers are a winnable situation at home. So, again, I say stay with the Magic, but I get why the Miami Dolphins are moving on to the future with Tua. And again, I don't have any beef with it. I have a slight beef. I do have a slight beef, but at the end of the day, I get it. And the NFL, it's all about winning Super Bowls. It's all about winning championships. And if you feel like Tua is the guy that's going to ultimately get you that championship, get you the Lombardi, get you a ring, then guess what? Go with Tua at this point and look to the future and focus on winning the future, ultimately winning in the future, ultimately winning that Super Bowl. Focus on that if you believe that Tua is the guy to do just that for you and your franchise. So I get it. We'll see how this whole thing works itself out. It will work itself out, and we'll see what happens with the Miami Dolphins moving forward. So last night, the NFC East, and the NFC East easily could be called the NFC least. It's not a very good division. In fact, all the teams are under 500. And all the teams, you could argue, are hot garbage. The Eagles at 2-4-1 on top of the division are hot garbage. The Cowboys at 2-4, second in the division, are hot garbage. The Redskins at 1-5 and the Giants at 1-6 are all hot garbage. So the division stinks. But somebody's got to win it. And it appears, last night, the Giants were in complete control in that fourth quarter, 21-10 in complete control, and you thought the New York Giants was going to win that football game. At that point, as an Eagles fan, I was contemplating turning it off, but I said, no, I'm going to watch this thing to the end. And hey, the Giants aren't a good football team, and the Eagles aren't a good football team. So if you watch the game, both teams are trying to give the game away. It was clear the Eagles didn't want to win it. They had opportunities in that first half off turnovers to put some points up. I mean, their kicker missed a 29-yard field goal. That's a chip shot. You can't miss that in the National Football League, but he missed it. Carson Wentz threw an interception in the red zone. You can't do that either. That was a mess. So the Eagles were giving the football game. The Giants were giving the football game to the Eagles with the turnovers and things of that nature. But the Eagles were giving it back. They were giving it back. And finally, the Eagles ultimately won, but finally the Giants gave it back to the Eagles. They said, you know what? I'm Evan Ingram. I don't want to make that catch. That was the game. Evan Ingram makes that catch. Giants win that football game. So the Giants gave that football game to the Eagles, and ultimately the Eagles won it. And Carson Wentz. The interceptions aren't great. The turnovers aren't great. But I would tell you this. This man's he's a gamer, and he's playing, or he's approaching that 2017 level, that 2017 Carson Wentz. If you remember that 2017 Carson Wentz, that guy was a baller. And that guy was using his feet, using his arm, and using all those things to make him effective. And in 2017, if he doesn't get hurt, he's the MVP of that league. He's the MVP in 2017 if he doesn't get hurt, period, point blank. But he did get hurt, and he's had struggles with injuries. But this season, his bugaboo is the turnovers. He's turning the football over, and we could argue, okay, yes, the offensive line is banged up. Lane Johnson was in and out of the lineup last night. Jason Peters is out. You lost Brandon Brooks in the offseason. So, yes, there are some struggles on the offensive line. You can argue that he doesn't have all his weapons. Zach Ertz wasn't there last night. Miles Sanders wasn't there last night. So you don't have your weapons there. Deshaun Jackson ultimately went down late in the game, and he just got Deshaun Jackson back. So he's playing with a lot of young players. Dallas Goedert is gone as well. So both his tight ends are gone. Both his tackles were gone. His offensive tackles, both of them were gone. Deshaun Jackson was gone later in the game. So all these things were working against Carson. But he's a gamer. And he played well against the Pittsburgh Steelers and had that team in position to possibly take the lead. Jake Elliott missed a 57-yard field goal, but at the end of the day, that's a tough kick. It's makeable. Guys are making 50-plus yard field goals, 57-yard field goals. Guys are making those kicks. But, again, that was a tough kick. He missed it. He missed that field goal. But Carson Wentz had the Eagles in position to take the lead. They couldn't do it. Against the Baltimore Ravens, down 30-14. He put that team on his back, brought them back, and put them in position to almost win the game, a 2-point conversion away from taking the game to overtime. So Carson Wentz, with all the things against him, is putting this Eagles team in position and playing some, dare I say, some clutch football. Last night, I think last night was a must-win. I thought last night was as close as a must-win as you got for both teams. Giants win that football game, and even though the Giants lost, they're still in it because, again, they're in the NFC East. They're still in it. But even though I thought it was a must-win situation, and the Eagles had to win that football game, just like the Giants had to win that football game. But the Eagles and Carson Wentz just did a little more. And ultimately, you look at the NFC East. Cowboys, they don't play defense. They don't play defense. They're having a hard time stopping teams. They don't stop teams. And because they don't stop teams, it's very difficult for them to win football games. So it's not like this. It's not like this. You look at it, the Dallas Cowboys with Dak Prescott, Dak was putting up numbers, and Dak kept them in football games. I know at times he struggled at the beginning of the game, but he kept them in football games and gave them a fighting chance. With the way their defense is playing, Andy Dalton's going to have to put up a lot of points. And based on what we saw against the Arizona Cardinals, I'm not sure how doable that is. He didn't play well against the Arizona Cardinals. He didn't. And so I don't know how doable Andy Dalton, in terms of his plan, in terms of him playing well, in terms of him playing like Dak Prescott. Because Dak Prescott kept them in games. That game against the Atlanta Falcons, where they were getting blown out, and ultimately some luck was on their side in terms of the onside kick and some stupidity with the Atlanta Falcons special teams. But ultimately, he kept them in that game and ultimately gave them a shot to win that game. And ultimately, they won it. But that doesn't happen without Dak Prescott, and I think that doesn't happen. And I'm not sure Andy Dalton can do that. He has the weapons, but look, the Dallas Cowboys has some injuries as well. I mean, their two tackles, offensive tackles, are out. La'el Collins, Tyron Smith are gone for the year. So, and Andy Dalton doesn't have the feet or like Dak Prescott. He can't move the way Dak Prescott can move. So it's an issue. And it's not like the Cowboys play defense. If the Cowboys play defense, you would give them more of a chance, but they don't play defense. They don't. And you look at the Eagles, as flawed as they are, as bad as they are, the Eagles probably are the class of the NFC East. Is that saying much? No. It's not saying much at all. But it is saying, hey, they're a class of the NFC East. And so someone has to win the division. And once you win the division, once you get in the tournament, which is the playoffs, anything is possible. Anything can happen. And just like the Dolphins, when I talked about the Dolphins and Ryan Fitzpatrick, I'm going to say the same thing with the Philadelphia Eagles. Look, with the situation with COVID-19, if you get into the playoffs, anything is possible. Anything is possible once you make it to the dance. Because again, COVID is out here. COVID is a game changer. And we all know with COVID-19, players, there is a possibility that a player could get it, and prominent players can get it. People can get it. Anybody can get COVID. Anybody can get it, obviously. So that's something to think about. So anything is possible. I'm going to get back to the Eagles for a moment, but Antonio Brown, according to Adam Schefter, has just signed with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So the Brown is reunited with Brady. And so the Buccaneers, Godwin, Mike Evans, Gronk, Antonio Brown, they have weapons galore, and the weapons, and they got more. I mean, that's a team. You look at Tampa Bay, obviously with Tom Brady, again, still big-time quarterback at the age of 43, which is absolutely, positively amazing, unbelievable. But he's still playing at a high level. Might not be the Brady in his prime, but it's still a very good version of Tom Brady. But with those weapons, and again, I think if I look at Tampa Bay, I think this is Tom Brady's greatest collection of weapons. I mean, never has he had a situation where you're talking about Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Antonio Brown, Gronk, Ronald Jones, Leonard Fournette when healthy. I mean, you got weapons everywhere. You got weapons for days. Put a week on it. Ice Cube voice. But you got weapons for days. And so all those weapons with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Tom Brady, I mean, I think I understand the situation with Antonio Brown. And I know he's done some things allegedly that are regrettable. But at the end of the day, the guy can play. And I'm not one. Here's the thing, and this might be, I don't think it's controversial, but here's the reality of the situation. People are flawed. And people make mistakes, and people do some crazy things. And you got a league full of people that have done some regrettable things. You got a world full of people who have done some regrettable things. But I'm not one of these people who are willing to just throw people away because they made a few mistakes. I'm not one of those guys. I'm not one of those guys who throws people away because they made a few mistakes. And Antonio Brown has made some mistakes. But I'm not throwing them away. I don't believe in throwing people away. I believe in giving people chance after chance at multiple chances in life. Because you never know when someone's finally going to get it. And maybe this is what Antonio Brown needed to finally get it and finally get his life right. But this is a great opportunity. Obviously, Brady and him had some type of connection in New England. You remember Antonio Brown played one game with New England, And ultimately, he, after the situation came out, I believe it was the situation with the woman, one of the women accusing him of some type of abuse allegedly. After that situation came out, I think she had text messages that came out. After those text messages came out, the Patriots moved on from Antonio Brown. That was the last we saw of him. But him and Brady obviously had some type of connection, and so that's a connection maybe that they'll build upon there in Tampa Bay. But this is a big move for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I love the move. Antonio Brown is one of the best wide receivers in football when right. He's one of the best wide receivers in football. And the reality is this. This is really not a gamble. If Antonio Brown doesn't act right, bye, Antonio. See you later. You have all the power. You have all the leverage right now if you're the team. Antonio don't act right? See you, Antonio. Antonio has every incentive to be on his best behavior. He has every incentive to be acquirable. Can he do it? We'll see. But he's in a great situation. He has great opportunity to win a championship. David Pitts, you're all right. You're all right when it comes to Ryan Fitzpatrick. It is a darn shame that he's not going to be able to have an opportunity to make the playoffs this year because this is his last chance. He's 37 years old. You were right. This is his last opportunity, his last chance to make the playoffs. And so he's not making it. At this point, they're not going to make it. I think unless Tua gets hurt and Ryan Fitzpatrick finds a way to get back onto the field or something, and I'm not wishing hurt on Tua at all because I root for Tua. But this is a situation with Ryan Fitzpatrick that's a shame. It is a shame. He's hard. The guy said it. I'm heartbroken. He's heartbroken. And so rightfully so. You'd be heartbroken too if you were balling. You'd be heartbroken too if you were balling, playing some big-time football, and the coach says, you know what? Come to my office. We're sitting you down. Not because you aren't good, not because you're not balling, not because of that. We're sitting you down because it's time to focus on the future, and the future is Tua. So I get it. Ryan Fitzpatrick's heartbroken. I'm heartbroken for him. A lot of people are heartbroken for Ryan Fitzpatrick. How could you not watch him talking and not be heartbroken for the guy? I mean, this is his last opportunity, his last chance to make a run at the playoffs, and he ain't going to have that opportunity. And that's a shame, but I get it. It makes sense. It's not like it don't make sense. I get it. I just don't love it. But it is what it is. But back to Antonio Brown, again, he is now in a great position. He's with the GOAT, Tom Brady. He's in situations where you look at it, man, what do you do when you play Tampa Bay? I mean, Godwin, Evans, now Antonio Brown. I mean, these guys are all game-breaking, big-time wide receivers. I mean, Mike Evans has been over 1,000 yards each and every year of his career. Godwin is stepping up, was a Pro Bowler last year. I mean, so those guys, you add that to that, man. I thought he was going to go to Seattle because he was working out with Russell Wilson in the offseason. So my money was on Seattle because, I thought maybe that connection, that chemistry that he may have developed with Russell Wilson over the offseason, I thought maybe that would do the trick. I thought maybe he would go to Seattle. But again, he has something with Brady. It's clear that he has something with Brady, and that's the reason he's there in Tampa Bay with Tom Brady. They have something. Brady wouldn't obviously Brady vouched for the guy and believes in the guy on some level. And Brady knows at age 43, this is his, could be his last chance to win a championship. So why not? Why not take the chance on a guy who could put up some big time numbers? Why not take a chance on a guy who many believe was one of the best wide receivers in the game before all the mess started to happen, before Oakland happened? We all know what happened in Oakland was a mess for Antonio Brown, whether it was the helmet, whether it was a whole bunch of things going on with Antonio Brown. I think Antonio Brown needed to just sit down. Antonio Brown needed to sit down. There are times in life where you need to just sit down. You need to sit down, sit back, and figure some things out. Antonio Brown needed to sit down, sit back, and figure some things out. And now I think he's all the better for it. And now I think he has an opportunity with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to move forward and be successful. We all need to sit down sometimes. Antonio Brown needed to sit down. Now it's time for him to rise. Now it's time for him to stand up and see what he got. See what he's about. See if he's learned anything. We'll see what happens when Antonio Brown. But this is, again, a great opportunity for him. And the rich just got richer in the National Football League and those Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But here's the thing. This move could blow up in their face. I mean, Antonio Brown hasn't had the reputation of being the best teammate. So this move easily could blow up in their face, mess up whatever chemistry they have in Tampa Bay, and, ruin the whole situation. So it's not out of the realm of possibility that this whole situation, gets messed up and Antonio Brown hasn't learned a thing, and Antonio Brown is still the same Antonio Brown and it's still a mess. That's not out of the realm of possibility. It's not. So this is not a slam dunk by any means, but it is a good move. It's not a slam dunk, and anything can happen, and anything is possible, but this is a good move for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Antonio Brown is back in the NFL, and I'm hoping he takes advantage of his second chance, his second opportunity to get it right, to get everything right, and to move forward. We'll see what happens. I want to go to the Clippers for a second. I want to go to the Los Angeles Clippers. Ty Lue is their head coach. And now, he has an opportunity to put this team over the top. If you remember back in 2016, right? Ty Lue took over for David Blatt midseason with the Cavaliers. And ultimately, the Cavaliers with LeBron James and Kyrie Irving were ultimately able to win an NBA title. And so now Ty Lue has the same situation. A little different, but kind of the same. At the end of the day, he is here to win an NBA title. Anything short of winning an NBA title for Ty Lue is unsuccessful. This team, the Los Angeles Clippers, are built to win now. Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, those guys were put together to win now. I mean, they gave up a boatload of picks when they acquired Paul George. So the future is now for the Los Angeles Clippers, and they're set up. They were set up to win last year, and they were set up to win this year, and they're set up to win for the next couple of years. They're set up now to win an NBA title, and anything short of that is a big-time disappointment. Wouldn't be surprising with the Clippers. Man, they're a cursed franchise. The Los Angeles Clippers are a cursed franchise. Just some of the things that just happen to this team year after year after year. I mean, we thought last year was their year, was their time, was their moment. And then they're up 3-1 against the Denver Nuggets in the Western Conference semifinals, and they were on their way to the matchup that we all wanted to see in the NBA, to the matchup that we waited for all year long, the Lakers-Clippers in the Western Conference Finals. And then up 3-1, you find a way to blow it. Up 3-1, you find a way to blow it against the Denver Nuggets, and ultimately you're eliminated from the playoffs. Unacceptable, obviously. But again, I've said this numerous times. I think next year is going to be their year. I think they needed a moment, a year to get right, get acclimated with each other, and ultimately move forward. Maybe Doc Rivers wasn't the voice. Maybe Ty Lue is going to be the closer, just like he was in Cleveland. Ty Lue, the Cavaliers said, let's bring in a right-hander. Ty Lue came out of the bullpen. He was the assistant to David Blatt, came out of the bullpen and did the job, closed it out with the help of LeBron James and Kyrie Irving. You can maybe put it the other way around. With the help of, Ty Lue did it, but with the help of LeBron James and Kyrie Irving. Fine. So I just look at it, man, and I say the Clippers, here's the thing. Golden State Warriors, they're going to be back. The Golden State Warriors, they had a red shirt year. They're going to be back. Clay, Steph, Draymond, Andrew Wiggins, a lottery pick, they're going to be back. So you got to watch them. And they might move that lottery pick and get a player that can help them now. So they're going to be back. So that's a team that's obviously they're going to have to contend with, meaning the Clippers. But this is a great opportunity for Ty Lue. Ty Lue said he wanted to be one of the greatest coaches of all time. So this is an opportunity. This is a roster where you can maybe string together a couple of championships. I don't think the Lakers will win another championship. I think those are, well, I don't want to bet against LeBron, but at some point he's got to look his age, right? He's got to look his age. I believe Jordan won his last championship in 1998 at age 36. So, hey, maybe LeBron can keep going. But Jordan won his last championship at the age of 36. So, with that being said, LeBron right now is 35. And when the season starts, he'll be 36 years old. So Michael Jordan won his last title at the age of 36 back in 1998. LeBron James has an opportunity now at the age of 36 to win his last title. Maybe he'll keep going. I mean, LeBron is obviously a freak of nature. He's a freak of nature and playing some big-time basketball even at his advanced age. He's playing some big-time basketball, was the finals MVP. So this is a great opportunity for him to keep going and win another title. But I think those Clippers are going to be tough. The Warriors are going to be tough. And the Lakers are still going to be there with Anthony Davis. Ultimately, he's going to re-sign. That's just a matter of when, where, and how much, and so on and so forth. But he's going to re-sign. But it should be interesting. It should be fun. But I think Ty Lue is the right guy for the job. Ty Lue has proven that he can, he got LeBron's respect. And I think he can get Kawhi's respect, and I think he can get Paul George's respect. We need to see Paul George become playoff P again. We need to see playoff P, because what we saw out of playoff P this year wasn't good at all. So I can't wait to see playoff P this year with Tyronn Lue and how much different it's going to look. So let's go to boxing for a moment. Last week we had a big time fight on ESPN. Vasil Lomachenko, Teofimo Lopez, and it was a good fight. It wasn't a great fight, but it was a good fight. And you look at it, and Teofimo got the victory, which I said last week that Teofimo was going to get the victory. Put a video out there. There's a video out there, me saying that Teofimo was going to get the victory. He got it. Now, he got the victory in a way I didn't expect. I didn't expect Teofimo to win the way he won. He did some boxing. I thought it was going to be a war. I thought they were going to bang. But Teofimo, here's also the thing. Loma wasn't very active. I mean, on my scorecard, I gave Teofimo the first 7 rounds. And Loma was just inactive. He was just giving up rounds. Round after round after round, it was giving them up. And at some point, he had to go. And he ultimately went. But it was too late. He went in the 8th. He went in the 9th. Went in the 10th. Went in the 11th. But Teofimo closed it out in the 12th. And I had it 8 rounds to 4, 116 to 112 for Teofimo Lopez. And for Loma, this was an opportunity. I think if he would have started sooner, they could have won the fight. Now, is that a byproduct of his age, 32 years old, can't pull the trigger? Or is that a byproduct of a bad game plan? We'll never know, because I don't think it was going to be a rematch. Teofimo doesn't want to do the rematch. There's no rematch clause for this particular fight, so Teofimo doesn't want to do it. There's no rematch clause for this fight, so we might not see it again. I would tell you this. If we do see it again, I think Loma beats him. I think Loma just started too late. I think if he could have started a little sooner. They kept saying he's collecting data, but that must have been dial-up. That must have been a dial-up situation, because that data he was collecting, he was moving a little too slow. Round after round after round, I kept waiting. Okay, this is the moment that Lomachenko's going to wake up. This is the moment that Lomachenko's going to wake up. This is the moment that Loma's finally going to start fighting and start being active. But it never happened until the 8th round. And I think if Loma, again, if he starts early, could have won the fight. And I think in a rematch, I think Teofimo, if he's smart, stays away from Lomachenko. I think if he's smart, he moves forward. I wouldn't go back if I'm Teo. I would. Because I honestly believe that Loma would beat him in a rematch. I do. I just think it was a product of Loma starting too late. Now, I could be wrong with that. Maybe Loma's lost some. And I said in a video last week, I said it. 135 is not the weight for Lomachenko. It's not the weight for him. He's a great fighter, obviously. He's collected belts in that division, obviously, a bunch of them. But he's not at his best at 135. The weight is too big for him. 130, fine. 126, fine. Those are the weights that he belongs at. 135, too big. Too big. And he got, like I said, he got touched up. Got touched up in at 135. And got touched up by Linares, who dropped him back in 2018 at 135. It just wasn't the weight for Loma. Now, he's great. And I know after the fight, he did get surgery on his shoulder. And so maybe he was banged up coming into the fight. But hey, you fought the fight. You took the fight. There's no excuses. You stepped into the ring. Once you decide to step into the ring, you didn't pull out. You stepped into the ring. Once you made that decision to step into the ring, well, there's no excuses at that point. You made the choice. You made the decision. Now you have to live with it. So Lomachenko, we'll see what he does next. I believe he should go back to 130. I think he should stay at 130 or 126. He doesn't belong at 135. Now, if there's some big fights at 135, why not stay there and make some money? But I think his best weight's at 130 or 126. He doesn't belong at 135. Teofimo has a lot of options. He's got a lot of options. Devin Haney is out there. Ryan Garcia is out there. He's got options galore. Gervonta Tank Davis is out there. So he's got a lot of options out there. Now, I would love to see him against Tank. I like to see him against Tank Davis. Between Tank and Ryan Garcia, those are the guys who are popular guys. Devin Haney, very good, but he's not at the level in terms of popularity, the level of Gervonta Davis or Ryan Garcia. Both of those guys are popular. Both of those guys move the needle a little bit in the sport of boxing. So if I'm Teofimo, the fight for me is either Garcia, in terms of money, in terms of what's going to move the needle, is either Garcia or Gervonta Tank Davis. Now, those fights could be difficult to make because of the situation with promoters. I mean, at this point, Devin Haney, Matchroom, Devin Haney Promotions. Also, he's with DAZN, fights on DAZN. Teofimo, ESPN, Top Rank, and then Gervonta Tank Davis, PBC. So you got all those different situations that you have to figure out. But at the end of the day, that's the fight I would love to see. And I think that's the fight that makes the most sense in terms of popularity. In terms of, cleaning out the division, obviously, if you're talking about cleaning out the division, I think obviously you're talking Devin Haney. Devin Haney is the WBC belt holder at 135. And so I think he's the guy. If we're talking that, he's the guy. If we're talking cleaning out the division, he's the guy, Devin Haney. But if we're talking about what's going to move needles, I think what's going to move the needle is Gervonta Tank Davis. So we'll see what happens. We'll definitely see what happens. So I want to go back to the NBA for a moment. The NBA is now reportedly they're eyeing a start pre-Christmas in a 72-game regular season. So that's what they're looking at this point. So they're going to reduce it supposedly by 10 games. They're going to keep the play-in tournament. And the play-in tournament was great, man. The play-in tournament was good. I mean, that was a great idea, the play-in tournament for the NBA. That made games that didn't mean anything, games that were useless, games that were meaningless to most people, meaningful. I mean, when you watch the Portland Trailblazers at the end of the season fighting to get into that play-in game, and they got there, it made a game that really didn't mean much to people mean a lot. I mean, if you watch that Blazers-Nets game, this last game in the regular season, it was a big-time game. Karis LeVert and Dame Lillard going back and forth. And ultimately, Dame Lillard and the Blazers were able to outlast him, and ultimately Dame Lillard and the Blazers were able to go to the playoffs. Well, going to the play-in game where they played the Memphis Grizzlies, and ultimately the Blazers would beat the Memphis Grizzlies and make it to the playoffs. So the point I'm trying to make is the play-in game turned a game that was meaningless to most and made it meaningful. And so, to me, that's what you want. You want games that many would say are meaningless, you want those games to be meaningful. You want a game like what we saw at the end of the regular season in the bubble with the Blazers and Nets. You want to see games like that because that looked like a playoff game. That looked like that was back and forth. And the Nets, it didn't mean anything, but the Blazers, it meant everything. It meant that they would have an opportunity, if they would win, to make it to the play-in game and make it to the playoffs. No one cares what happens at the bottom of the playoff ladder. No one cares what happens with the 8th and 7th seed. But with the play-in game, it made people care. Again, it made something meaningless meaningful. So I look at that and I say, you know what? Keep the play-in game. I think it's a great idea. I think it moves the needle a little bit. So let's keep it. Let's keep it. And ultimately, they will, apparently. And it does appear, I know the NBA, apparently, they want to get some gate. So they want fans in the building if they can. And they don't really want the bubble. But with COVID-19 and all the things going on with COVID-19 and that second wave that appears to be coming, some people believe the second wave is here. Some people believe that wave is here. So with the second wave already here, let's go on that premise. It could be difficult. Flu season's on its way. I think we're in flu season at this point. So flu season is here. So you're in a situation now where COVID could run rampant. The flu could run rampant. And you got a lot of people walking around here sick. So it's going to be difficult to get gate. That means it's going to be difficult to bring fans in, which you're losing money there. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do. They did the bubble, and they did the bubble to perfection. The bubble worked out. You had a few glitches here, a few glitches there. A few guys have violated, did some things here, did some things there. But at the end of the day, for the most part, the bubble worked. And at the end of the day, you're going to have guys who are not going to behave. That's just reality. Guys aren't always going to behave in an NBA in any situation. And there's going to be situations why, sadly we have jails because people don't always behave. So at some point, somebody's not going to behave. And in the NBA bubble, again, a couple people didn't behave, but at the end of the day, it worked. So, and it could be the model for leagues moving forward, at least in this COVID environment. And I had interviewed a doctor this week, Dr. Kaplan, Jeffrey Kaplan, and he said that he expects things to be back to normal possibly. And he's saying possibly maybe next fall of 2021. That's just an estimate. So who knows if that's going to be real. But if that truly is the case, if that's the case, if it's going to be right by fall of 2021, looks like the NBA, if they start mid-Christmas, maybe, well, they probably won't be able to. Well, maybe they can be in a situation where you have a bubble playoff situation, multiple bubbles, instead of doing like what they did. I mean, obviously, they had to do what they had to do with the Orlando bubble, but maybe you can have bubbles, multiple bubbles, and you can find a way to get some gate. Or maybe you can have bubbles in cities that the virus is low. And so, I mean, that was their thought in terms of using Orlando. At that point, when they decided on Orlando, the numbers were low in Florida. It did spike in Florida, but seems like they've gotten it under control. I'm not 100% sure because I'm not a doctor. But the numbers are spiking. And so it's going to be interesting. We'll see what happens with the NFL. If the NFL can get through. And it's going to be tough. It's not going to be easy. I think they're going to get there because there's a lot of money. There's a lot of money at the end of the rainbow, so I think they're going to find a way to get there. But I don't know if it's going to be easy. I thought at one point baseball wasn't going to make it, and they did it. They got there. And the NFL, I think it's going to be harder because of the amount of people that you have. It's going to be harder. And, you've seen the postponements. You've seen the situation this week with the Raiders. And ultimately, they decided to move the Raiders-Buccaneers to 4 o'clock and move the Seahawks in Arizona to 8 o'clock. And one of the reasons they did that to make sure that there's an 8 o'clock game on NBC, to make sure there's Sunday Night Football. So it's going to be tough for the NFL. It won't be easy, but I think they'll get there. You know why they'll get there? One thing, straight cash, homie. It's all about the money. It's all about money. Money is what rules. Cash rules everything around me. And cash rules everything around us in the NFL. NFL is going to find a way to make money. They're going to find a way to get to the finish line. COVID or not, no COVID, they're going to find a way to get to the finish line, and they're going to fight this to the end. They'll get there. They'll get there. But how they get there and what the football looks like and who's actually playing, that's going to be interesting. We don't know what that's going to look like. But they'll get there. And when they get there, we'll all be happy, right? A lot of money to make in the NFL, but it's not just you got the fantasy, you got gambling, so many aspects of the NFL. The NFL is America's game. People love the NFL. It's king in America. So people want the NFL to finish, and obviously the NFL wants the NFL to finish. So the NFL is going to finish. It's just a matter of how it's going to look and who's playing. And that's going to be an interesting part. And again, that's why it's hard to say who has a shot and who doesn't have a shot, because COVID could be the thing that determines all of it. COVID could decide who's the Super Bowl champion. It could come down to COVID. Who has the most COVID-free players? It could be that simple. It could be that simple. And Matt, we saw, again, Cam Newton missed a game because of COVID. But imagine that's Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs. Imagine that's Tom Brady in the playoffs. Imagine that's somebody in the Super Bowl. They miss it because of COVID. So I say all that to say this. Anything is possible in the NFL. And I always say this when it comes to the NFL. I always say this when it comes to the NFL. Best team doesn't always win. It doesn't. You mean to tell me back in 2007 when the Patriots were undefeated and the Giants beat them in the Super Bowl, the Giants were the better team? I didn't think so. I just think the Giants were able to win on that particular day. The best team usually wins in the NBA. Best team doesn't always win in Major League Baseball. You can ride a hot pitcher. And you can ride a hot pitcher or a hot bat all the way to the World Series and win a World Series. Hockey, the best team doesn't always win. You can ride a hot goaltender all the way to the Stanley Cup and ultimately win the Stanley Cup. In the NFL, that football does some crazy things, bounces in crazy ways. So the best team doesn't always win in the NFL either. So you talk about the best team not always winning in the NFL. You add the situation with COVID-19. Guess what? There's a lot of variables there. And that tells me one thing. That tells me this. Anything can happen. So, again, that's why when I was talking about the Dolphins and Ryan Fitzpatrick, that's why I'm kind of big on that, because I believe, hey, if you get to the playoffs, you get to the dance, anything can happen. COVID is real. It's a game changer. It's a game changer in sports. It is a game changer in life. Look how many people were out of work because of COVID. Look how many people died because of COVID. So it's a game changer in life, and it's a game changer in sports. Look at the games that have been postponed in the NFL. Look at the guys who missed games because of COVID. So it's real. It's real, and hopefully we got a vaccine, or hopefully something is coming that we can all beat it if we get it. And we can, just keep on living our lives, and life can get back to normal. Maybe we can get rid of the masks. Who knows? But at this point, wear your mask, because, hey, according to what's out there, it's the best way to avoid getting COVID-19, and also the best way to give it to others. So wear your mask and do all the things you can to stay safe. And just stay safe. Do what you got to do to stay safe. And hopefully, again, sometime next year, we can all move on with our lives and go back to normal. Maybe life will never be normal. Who's to say? Who knows? I don't know. But we'll see what happens. But at the end of the day, the NFL, COVID could decide who wins the Super Bowl. As crazy as that sounds, it could come down to COVID-19 as the thing that decides the Super Bowl. And it's real. It's real to believe that Patrick Mahomes could get it. It's real to believe Tom Brady could get it. It's real to believe that big players from big teams could get COVID-19 and can affect the outcome of a football game. It's real. That's possible. That's very possible. It's not out of the realm of possibility. No, it's very possible. So there are possibilities out there. And that's why I talk about the Eagles. Hey, if the Eagles can find a way to get to the playoffs, anything is possible. I don't care how bad they are record-wise. You get a home playoff game, you win it, and you go on the road, and again, you play a team that is without a star player because of COVID-19. Anything is possible. Miami Dolphins, Ryan Fitzpatrick. Fitzpatrick sticks with the Fitzpatrick, and it's Fitzmagic, and he's magical, and he does big things, and ultimately leads the Dolphins to the playoffs. Anything is possible. Obviously, that's not going to happen because he's on the bench. But the point I'm trying to make is anything can happen in this COVID-19 environment. So to say that this team is the favorite, that team is the favorite, you don't know. You have an idea. It's a good chance that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers is a team that could do some big things in the NFC. The Saints could do some big things in the NFC. Packers could do some big things in the NFC. The Seahawks can do some big things in the NFC. But anything is possible. Anything is possible. It's real to think that the Chiefs can do some big things in the AFC. Steelers, the Ravens can do some big things. But anything is possible with this COVID-19 environment. So we'll see how this whole thing plays out. So I want to thank everybody for listening. We will be back next Friday at 7 o'clock. Make sure you just come to this YouTube channel, youtube.com/GoForItAgain. So make sure you're there, coming to this YouTube channel. We got videos out there on a daily basis covering the world in the NFL, the NBA, boxing, everything. So make sure you come to this YouTube channel and support this YouTube channel. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. And, join the fun. Join the fun. Join the ride. So for everybody here at Go For It, we hope you have a great weekend. We hope you stay safe. Do the right thing. And again, we'll check you out next week. See you later. Take care.